Real estate investment trust. These are the best friends of dividend investors because the company itself is just a real estate company focusing on really any industry you want. There's a REIT for everybody, but the business model is basic, reliable, and proven to work. So they have real estate assets that they lease out to tenants, and they collect the cash flow and they pay it out to the owners, which are you if you own it. And in this video, I want to talk about my top 5 favorite REITs to own. So I usually begin my research with some kind of an article that compiles a bunch of names, or I come over to a very popular ETF. So this is the Vanguard Real Estate ETF, VNQ, an amazing REIT ETF. If you just want to buy an ETF, this is one of my favorites. And what we can do is we can poke around the holdings and kind of see what's going on. But the names and the industries these companies are in are super diverse. So we have Public Storage, which I think is great, Simon Property Group, which are malls, data centers. It goes on and on. Welltower is senior living. So there's lots of names and industries to choose from. So I'm going to take you through my 5 favorite holdings. And I'm going to show you how I pick my favorite holdings based off of market trends. And the first one I'm going to talk about is Prologis. So this is their website. We can see exactly what kind of properties they focus on. This is as they like to say it, a world leader in logistics real estate solutions. So stuff that's very crucial to the overall economy. In fact, they have some quick notes right here. So 2.2 trillion is the economic value of goods flowing through our distribution centers each year. And in terms of percentages, 2.5% of the world's GDP moves through their real estate holdings. I also want to take a look at their properties. So they have properties in the Americas, Asia, and Europe. And in the Americas, they have Brazil, Canada, United States. And if we just want to pick one for an example, we can go to Atlanta. And these are some of the properties that they have in Atlanta, Georgia. So clearly this REIT is in a space that has lots of demand, but to get more insight on the market trends, we can look at some research. And I want to draw your attention to this chart, which is the World Merchandise Trade Volume 2015 to 2022. And the general trend is more trading, increasing GDP, which of course benefits this company because even if their market share of 2.5% of global GDP stays the same, the pie itself is still expanding. So that's a good trend for this company. And to confirm this, we can take a look at their annual revenues. So this is 2016 to 2020, and we can see steady and consistent growth along with global GDP. And this is their dividend data. So right now their yield is around 2%, and they have an 8% 5-year average growth rate in that dividend. So pretty solid numbers. And if we look at the price appreciation, past year, it's up 38%. Past 5 years, up 147%. And this is pretty steady and consistent growth over the years. Next up on the list is American Tower Corporation. This is a leader in wireless infrastructure in many countries around the world. In fact, if we read their vision, we make wireless communication possible everywhere. Pretty simple vision, but something I can definitely get behind. And they break it down into a few mission steps. So lead wireless connectivity around the globe, innovate for mobile future, drive efficiency through the industry, and grow our assets and capabilities to meet customer needs. And here's a map of all the countries that they operate this wireless infrastructure within. So there's some developed countries like the US, Canada, Europe, as well as South America, developing countries in Africa, India. So it's a mixture of a lot of growth and consistent demand. Now, we always have to look at market trends that the company is operating within to see if it's a good investment. The global wireless connectivity market is estimated to grow from $69 billion in 2020 to $141 billion by just 2025, a compounded annual growth rate of 15.4%. Now, to you and I in developed markets, this might seem insane because everybody's already connected to the internet, but simply not true. This is another article that has lots of data. I'll leave it all linked down below. But just this first one, this is a global view of internet access by country. And yes, in the US, a lot of people do have an internet connection, although not everybody. But as we go down the list, many countries still have a long way to go to connect their population to the internet. And this is all potential growth for American Tower Corporation. And AMT has been performing very nicely. In the past 5 years, it's up 141%, and their financials look very healthy. We can see consistent and steady growth in their total revenues, and their dividend data is some of the best on this list. So the starting yield isn't super high, 1.8%, but the dividend growth rate, the average over 5 years, is 20%. So this is an immense dividend growth company. The next one I have for you guys is Digital Realty. So this is a data center REIT. So they have lots of infrastructure around that. In fact, we can poke around their website and try to find out more about this company. So this is their locations, and they're spread around the world. Let's take a look at North America just to kind of see what that looks like. So these are the locations of some of their data centers in the US. We can also come up to the Solutions tab to see what kind of solutions this company provides. So of course, data centers, and they kind of have a breakdown of what that looks like. They have connectivity. They also have cloud. So this is things like AWS Direct Connect, Google Cloud, IBM. So they have quite a diverse offering of solutions, as well as physically located all around the world. This is a data center market global outlook and forecast 2021 to 2026. I'm not going to read all of this, even though it's pretty good information, but the data center market by revenue is expected to grow at a compounded annual growth rate of 4.5% during the period of 2021 to 2026. And here are some of the market dynamics. So the first one here is opportunities and trends. We have 5G, innovative data center technologies, software-defined power and data center infrastructure automation. So a lot of cool things. They also have market enablers. So COVID-19 boosted data center demand for big data and Internet of Things investments. So lots of good things going on here. Taking a look at the stock's performance over the past 5 years, it hasn't skyrocketed as much as the other ones on this list, which could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. There's lots of competition in the space, but also because the stock price is somewhat flat, it's not that expensive right now. We can also look at their financials to see if they're making a lot of money. And yeah, they're definitely making more money now than they did 5 years ago, so it's definitely growing the company. And the dividend data is really solid. It's around 3% dividend yield with a 5% average growth rate in that dividend. So if you're a believer in data centers, Internet of Things, and all things in that market, this is a great investment for you. Now, changing pace, I have to mention Realty Income Corp. This is the monthly dividend company, and they own real estate like what you see here on their website. 7-Elevens, CVS, Walmarts, they're the ones that actually own the buildings and the real estate, and they lease it out to all these well-known companies. So it's a great, simple business model that everybody can understand, and it works. In fact, on their website, they kind of flex a little bit and show off. So they have 612 consecutive monthly dividend payments, and they have a 15.3% compounded average annual total return since 1994. So it's a simple and effective business model, and we can take a look at their top 20 clients. And these are all names that you probably recognize and buy things from, which is a pretty good sign. Companies like Home Depot, CVS, BJ's, Lifetime Fitness, they're probably not going to have a hard time paying their rent. And this is all reflected in the company's annual revenue. Since 2010, we can see just consistent, steady growth in their revenue every single year, year over year. So I am not worried about this company at all. It's one of those that you can buy and just forget about, and it's going to pay you money every single month. Their dividend yield is a nice 4%, and the growth in that dividend is enough to basically keep pace with inflation, so you don't have to worry about that. It's kind of an inflation hedge in that way. And as mentioned, they have a long track record of paying a dividend, so this is just one of those simple, great companies to own. Now, the last one I have for you guys is Innovative Industrial Properties. I talked about this a few times on my channel, so I'm not going to go super in depth. But this is one of those companies that the overall industry that it's in is experiencing some of the fastest growth of any market. So if we come over to the company profile and read a little bit of it, it says Innovative Industrial Properties targets medical use cannabis facilities for acquisition, including sale, leaseback transactions with tenants that are licensed growers under long-term triple net leases. We believe this industry is posed for significant growth in the coming years, and I couldn't agree more. Here's a snapshot of the medical marijuana industry, and it's projected to have a compounded annual growth rate of 17.79% between now and 2026. So immense growth, the most on this list so far. I'll leave this whole article linked down below if you guys want to read more, but the amazing thing is that this company is a REIT. Just like before how Realty Income Corp doesn't run the Walmarts, they just lease out the properties. This company does the same thing. They have the equipment, the property, and they lease it out with those triple net lease agreements to companies like these that then grow the product and sell it. So it gives you that buffer and that insulation from potential volatility. But regardless, this is a hyper-growth field, and all the indications, both politically and economically, are showing a massive boom in this industry. And of course, Innovative Industrial Properties is going to be a huge beneficiary of this, and that's already showing up in their total revenues. Look at this exponential growth. I don't think I need to say much else about it. Their dividend is 2.68%, and they're growing their dividend at an insane rate for a REIT. The last year, they increased their dividend by 57.95%. So this REIT doesn't have the longest track record and stability like Realty Income does, but if you're willing to take more of a risk, there's a lot of potential for high returns in the future. But that's going to do it. Those are my top 5 favorite REITs. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you're still watching, give the video a like. It helps out the channel a lot. Subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.